the concept of FTX liquidating a substantial amount of money in this video, I'll cover the precise amount of XRP, which is currently generating a lot of concern in the cryptocurrency market. Guys, FTX needed liquidation, as well as whether or not I feel this will have a substantial impact on the market. FTX was once one of the top exchanges in the world. They will need to sell a large amount of their Bitcoin. Everything you need to know will be explained to you. In this video, we'll talk about that, as well as the most recent SEC case. Guys, the situation is a shambles. This is one of the sector's worst occurrences to date. Please stay with us during this discussion as we will discuss how we are currently experiencing a very intense thunderstorm. Just so you're aware. As a result, if you hear thunder in the background of this film, it won't be overly loud or bothersome. It'll just be a little scattered. I simply wanted to make that point. I'd want to begin this film by just exhibiting a tweet that I thought was fascinating. I won't linger too long on it, but this is something I've been talking about for a while, though I never received confirmation. I honestly believe it's extremely cool to hear Brad say this. This is essentially just a quotation from him giving a very high-level description of Ripple's operations in the form of a bird's eye. He states that our customers frequently request that we provide the infrastructure for blockchain and cryptocurrency technologies, which is pretty exciting. Because in my experience, this is how Brad and Ripple's businesses have always evolved. Ripple is supporting organizations in adopting the new rails, which are XRP. Essentially, traditional enterprises, banks, organizations, and governments all over the world want to participate in cryptocurrencies, but are unsure how to do so because they lack in-house development teams. Even though only half of these businesses have actual development teams and want to participate in the cryptocurrency market. With so many players, new things will be tried. It's too frightening for them on their own. It's too terrifying. Simply said, they don't know what they're doing and will sing and perform. Ripple built a simple to use. Please, goods, develop software that will allow us to use blockchain technology without having to be technically sophisticated. Overall, I believe this is an excellent value offer, because it is precisely what cryptocurrency need. How many times have you attempted to utilize a cryptocurrency product, but felt unprepared when you saw the user interface and all the crazy procedures and transactions you had to execute and thought, nah, I don't want to cope with it? One of the primary concerns with cryptocurrencies presently is that they are not created with users in mind. Keep in mind that they were designed as a mechanism for backend transfers, and while they are constructed as rails, they are not intended to be utilized at the customer level. Ripple's powerful feature, in my perspective, is using its software to produce simple-to-use tools and products that people can utilize to effortlessly connect with the XRP ledger. This is where cryptocurrencies are heading, with services that rely on cryptocurrencies as rails without the customer even realizing it. How convenient would it be to log into Ripple's ODL product, send money immediately for pennies on the dollar, and not even be aware that you were doing so with XRP? That is the primary goal here. I sincerely feel that this is the moment we're entering, particularly on the Ethereum network, where people may experience all of the benefits of cryptocurrencies without even realizing it. I constantly witnessed a multitude of different initiatives. To even begin to appreciate what you must be an authority on blockchain, and I simply do not believe that this is what people desire. Ripple has always employed the best strategy. Ripple has always attempted to design solutions that are easy for consumers to use. And that is essentially what the ODL experience was designed with in mind overall. I just thought Brad's comment to be incredibly fascinating. Based on what I've learned, Ripple is a software provider that helps enterprises use the XRP ledger more successfully. I kind of just made this after seeing Ripple. It supports Brad's assertion that this is the case. Essentially, what Ripple is doing is just fantastic in general. I believe this will greatly boost their business. Ripple, I feel, will be of assistance. Businesses worldwide with a range of responsibilities outside of the OGL issue stable currencies on the XRP ledger issue. FTs are issued by marketplaces for all of them. Ripple will be used for a variety of purposes. This only broadens the company's product line aside from international money transfers. At this point, I'd want to briefly mention the most recent SEC case, which I found rather amusing. The SEC charged the makers of Stoner Cats earlier today. In fact, Mila Kunis is working on this. If you're unaware, she was an actor on the program in the 1970s. Growing up, it was one of my favorite shows, but I just thought this was hilarious and relevant for the SEC, which is investigating a slew of frauds. Appear in the Bitcoin sector, and who are they after? They targeted stoner kitties and conducted some idiotic NFT studies, where they are essentially purchasing. Cat images are such a farce that I'm not sure ACC can continue to sell the use of all of their legal resources, including all of their attorneys, on duties like these. Nothing about the SEC's sad behavior makes sense. There's not much to say about it. The most bizarre aspect is that cap prices have risen since the SEC case. The SEC is attempting to block these diverse programs, but only by pursuing and discussing the idea. And drawing media attention to it has increased the price of NFTs, which is a huge joke by the SEC and shows that despite recent losses in the Bitcoin market, they are still not focused on the correct issues. Instead of pursuing fraudulent projects that are robbing people of their money, continue to target innocent people who are merely trying to make a living by producing FTS. So let's talk about the FTX liquidation to wrap up this video. For those who are unaware, FTX holds a significant amount of Bitcoin assets on its balance sheet and will be selling them all soon. So, in essence, FTX had $1.16 billion in Solana, $500 million USD in BTC, $200 million USD in ETA, $119 million USD in XRP and other tokens. I'm not familiar with the main question being asked right now, is if FX's selling of these coins will have a substantial impact on the market. Let me now describe what I feel will happen in this case. I cannot predict the future. There are some extremely important components we must understand in the future, but I have no idea what will happen in this situation. First and foremost, a significant portion of this XRP was leased from Ripple to FTX. What does it mean if I believe the FTX will only beat up half of this? Because FTX must legitimately return XRP to Ripple, it is likely that a significant portion of this XRP will not be exchanged and will instead be returned to Ripple as a result. Some of the selling pressure on XRP will ease, but most cryptocurrency veterans understand that even if Solana or Bitcoin take a significant hit, it will almost certainly be enough to bring the rest of the market down. As a result, even though the majority of this XRP is simply returning to Ripple, because it was elites, I continue to believe that the remainder of the market could undergo a severe sell-off. However, the most important component that few people are mentioning, and which is the most important feature of everything, hinges on whether or not the market has already priced this in essence. Most cryptocurrencies experienced a significant drop when FTX first crashed. When you think about it, that doesn't make sense. At the time, the FTX was not selling any assets. Even though there were no liquidations, the bulk of cryptocurrencies dropped rapidly, causing them to fall off a cliff if FTX wasn't genuinely selling any assets well. Just think about it. The bulk of the sector's most knowledgeable participants expected that these assets would be released to the market and began making the appropriate preparations. One of the most intriguing features. The thing about markets is that they force you to think about the future and are quite effective. Therefore, let me use an amazing example to demonstrate this. For example, during the Great Recession of 2008, many investors delayed investing in stocks and businesses until unemployment reached its peak. Earnings hit their lowest point in essence when market conditions appear to be at their worst. But what happens is that the stock market and other assets begin to recover much before earnings and unemployment reach their lowest point. What caused that, and what we may have seen with FTX, was the same thing. occurring because the market effectively realized that things would eventually get better and began increasing. Before the maximum surrender in the fundamentals, all significant market participants and institutions were aware that this cryptocurrency would eventually be sold on the open market, and that it would be offered ahead of time would imply that the majority of the pain connected with its entrance to the market was probably already priced. No one can currently prove whether or not this occurred. However, I believe it is critical to consider this, since you may have heard in the Bitcoin sector that a significant amount of cryptocurrency was about to be placed onto the market. After that, nothing genuinely happened from my perspective, and there are numerous accounts. The likelihood of that particular occurrence occurring is usually low because everything has already been built into the pricing. These coins are frequently offered only over the counter, are never openly offered for sale. As a result, there is no real influence, and the fear around the occurrence is frequently what has the most impact, which usually occurs as soon as the news is revealed. So what I was saying previously is that this most likely occurred in public, then learned that FTX filed for bankruptcy. The major institutions undoubtedly began setting prices at this point for a situation like this. We're finally at the event where the cryptocurrency is being sold after waiting for several months in the next few days. Perhaps it will have some effect. All I'm doing is pointing out that when we have incidents like these, people often predict these massive sell-offs and black swan situations. Furthermore, they'd never genuinely expand. The last thing I'll say about this is that the bankrupt CIT lawyers in the FTX case want to make as much money as possible from selling their assets, which is also very important since they don't want to take over the market, because it would result in them earning significantly less money when they sold these assets. These are only a few examples. Reasons why the sale of these cryptocurrencies may not be the black swan event that so many people are speculating about. There aren't many different points of view here. People are conversing in this manner. The vast majority of people feel that this will be a black swan event. Just something to consider, please. Please take a few moments to like this video. Also, if you enjoy the content, please subscribe.